And what people are asking is, I refuse to have a veil service installed. I didn't want to do that kind of event, kind of thing. There's about, I think there's 36. I've told everybody we have to bring all public liability insurance as well. So they're covered that way. You are asking us if we can bring the vehicles on the field to unload, and then I told them they can take them off. Is that all right?
Yeah, what's up? As long as views.
It's dry this time of year.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, as long as it's dry, obviously.
Can do it again.
It's really the weather now.
Yeah.
I think it would be a nice day for everybody. Now, it was just something for the whole village to get back together as a community, really. And something nice that didn't involve a lot of rains.
No, it's absolutely.
I want to hope, you know what I mean? It's like, I think it'll be a nice day. So this, I've got all sorts of traders. It's 5 food vans and loads of different crafts. So really nice day. But that's all really. I've asked them. I said they can set up from 8:30 in the morning, so the field will be clear for 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So there'll be no vehicles or anything.
Well, yeah, just in relation to the parking thing.
That's what I was going to say.
So obviously we've got the community centre car park, but
Right.
also there's the doctor's surgery in the Old England,
Yeah.
but also behind the valley, you know,
Yeah.
the spill there.
And obviously, I cannot overspill in my car park too.
You know, so, yeah.
This is what people are asking us. Can we come onto the field, unload our stuff, and then take the cars off? Which I said, yeah, this is it. It's going to be dry.
And behind the court, there's obviously this parking there. Just I was asking all the parking in one of the car parks, so there's like just regarding people from the street clear.
Yes, I will ask them.
And we put something out on the parish page regarding the parking.
I'll be in attendance from 8:30 in the morning.
Okay.
I can make some posters if any. I can make them at work. That's what I do. So I can make some posters now. Just I put some posters on Facebook. But I can print some posters at work.
Yeah, well, we'll put one up in the notice board.
Right. I'll do that.
I think Carol Hiling, one of us will sort the key anyway in relation to
Right, so we can drop the posters up too. I can make posters at work rather than doesn't.
Yeah.
Right, because I'm only at this now, so anybody can come and pick them up, yeah? I'll have them made by Friday.
Jim, on the risk assessment garden, mate, were you?
I can do that. I can do a risk assessment.
Do a risk assessment.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is you've got to make a vehicle sterile by the time it opens, and then you have a specific time. One of the things for the traders is to let them know you're all desperate to bring the vehicles in. You find that people sell the produce really quickly and they want to get the vehicles on board. It's a case of don't go on if there's people there, and you know that it's just making it safe. That's all. But yeah, that's a key element to just make sure people wait until they get the instruction from yourself or whoever to come onto the ground. But I can do the risk assessment, not a problem. Yeah.
And also coming up as you garden, what to touch on there, please, your garden coming off. Just so people, you know, if it finishes at 3, then it's just getting them all there.
Back down from the 3 to come.
Yeah, to come off after when the public's come off the field, so there's not moving vehicles coming on and off when the public's just to keep it as safe as like sort of.
Well, I mentioned how we did this with the Great Lumley Festival. Also on the bill. We had it all worked out at Food Park Square, like stable parking and various events where they are. Also, vehicles on off the field. The track next to the community centre is only 1 lane wide. So what we had to do, we hired some cones from a cone company on Front Street, so people park on Front Street. We also hired 2-way radios, which were not only used for traffic control, but the festival was a bigger thing.
Yeah, this is like a free event, so about hiring things.
Yeah, I'll ask the police for some.
I'll say that.
Yeah, we'll get that to drop some.
Yeah.
Can I just warn you, please? when we did the festival, we went through City Advisory Group with John County Council. And they advised us if there's any shortfalls on the plan for health and safety, which you might be aware of. I don't know if you want to go through the safety advisory.
I think the city advisory drawn like sort of 3 or 4 months up, like ahead of the game kind of.
It's usually a 3-month lead up to that. And just for the members of the public here, I do event management in my time, and I look after the big market in Manchester, which is a farmers market which has numerous stalls, alcohol outlets and food outlets as well. I think the key element there is just making it safer. That's 2,500 people that attended that over a period of time, and it's just making sure that we've got everything in place so the council are happy. Normally SAGs usually kick in above 5,000 people, but it's nice to keep the council informed and let them know what we're doing so that they're aware, and especially for the police, for policing purposes, cover that area and give special attention to it as well. But yeah, I'll take on board absolutely, John, what you said. I'll let Lee know and I'll say, do you feel that this is, and Jackie Toast as well from the council. Jackie, I usually deal with, see if she needs any sort of event management plan putting in. If she does, I'll put that in as well. Yeah, thank you.
Just mention that, yes, the traffic going on off the field, we couldn't have done it without 2 areas. They would say that there were 3 events, but we had one person back at the community centre with the radio, one person in the road with the radio, and we had 2 people had to be in communication by radio in order to direct the traffic. Otherwise, the car going that way, the same as the car going that way.
Yeah, well, I'll have to get someone to help us, I think,
I'm sure a few of us will be around on the day.
Well, we had people use radios as well as people. We had all those stewards. And then, several things I was going to say. Oh yeah, the secretary of the Great Lumley Festival will have the plans for car parking that we park where, so contact them.
I didn't think it was going to be such a big event as the festival. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be as big of an event as the festival is.
It's low key.
Yeah, it's very low key. Yeah.
On the rubbish fee, will it ask all the stalls to bring their own bin line and also take their own rubbish away? Just because it's a freebie garden, and everybody all going to do our own little bit if you garden, and there's no onerous on anybody else that do the clear up and everything. Anything you want from us? Is there any help you want? Anything you want to know from the parish council?
No, it was just people that I wanted to know people who go on the field and then take vehicles off from the park elsewhere.
Is there any alcohol service?
There's one, she's got her own.
Temporary vending holdings.
She has, yes, because she has a store in Jackie White's Market.
Great.
And she does, one of them, she does like Chester Street and things, but she sells bottled. So it's not going to be served as a drink on the day.
No problem. When she puts her application in, make sure she restricts it just to the area of her stall, because if she puts the whole field,
She said something about that. She
Yeah.
said she would do that.
she could breach the 499 rule, which would mean it be an offence for us. So that's great. Just literally make it the area of her stall. So that's great. Thank you.
So it's the 15th of August, it's
Yeah.
between 10, opens up at 10 and finishes at 3. Yeah.
There's a lot of good sellers there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bit of everything.
Great stuff, and hopefully it's the first of many be.
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think if it happened, if it's a success, it could be charged event next year,
Yeah.
hopefully, and it would go to the parish, the fees would go to the parish as well for fundraising. It's a success.
Brilliant.
It'd be nice to possibly do a Christmassy one.
Yeah, possibly inside.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people who like to do that. You have to let us know how many tables you go to get inside. It's in.
I mean, good idea, I mean.
Yeah. But you could use all over, couldn't you?
We organise that.
Kind of do it end of November, not, you know, then people can Christmas shopping and that. Could do a Santa's grotto for the kids.
So how much would you want per table? Because I would advertise that and get you.
But for the Christmas,
Yeah.
I and Carol, our.
That's high for a table.
Approximately, just do that as part and parcel of the community centre.
Yeah.
Rather than, rather than just as opposed to just a random figure now.
Well, I can, okay.
Thank you very much, Faith. Good luck. Yeah. Anybody, any further questions for me? Anybody? No? Yeah. Next item on the agenda. Oh, sorry, other matters arising from the minutes, what's not elsewhere on the agenda? The view, I'm still waiting for a, it's on the agenda, right, okay, I'll touch on it now. I'm still waiting for the sculptor guy to come back with a date and a time for when it's going to start on that one. Anything else on the minutes what's not on the agenda? You know, drop that into it if there's something that we don't discuss on the agenda. It's in the minutes. Next item is item number 6, environment and community, to discuss and make decisions appropriate on the following. The first one is Remembrance Day, poppies around the village. And Michelle, can I bring you in on that?
Yeah, it was just to let you know really that all the information's gone to the co-op. So I'm just waiting then to come back to us. Fiona, I've given them your contact details, so you might get a message or something from Brian in the co-op. Okay. Because obviously it's yourself that's going to be accepting the funds to the account. So it's just a matter of waiting for them to see. But I think we're looking at probably £250, which will be able to use to buy kind of the wall and the belt and the wire and stuff to make displays. I've got quite a few minutes who are ready to go with the poppies. Oh yeah, that's on the list. And then we'll just have to decide kind of what kind of displays we want to do, where we want to put them. So I was thinking maybe down at the miners, Warrior, somewhere here, and then obviously up the street to opposite the pitch gate. Those the 3 sites. Then obviously once the poppies are there, we'll decide laptops, what we're going to do with that. I know there was some talk when we first started talking about getting some kind of metal soldier kind of frames and stuff, whether that's something we just want to look into there. So yeah, so that's where we are with it.
Okay.
Take the money off the board.
Right, brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Michelle. Anything, anybody want to add on to that? Next item on that is speed and cars. We received an update following July's meeting. We received details on the cost of a speed monitor. Tim, you just want to brief us what
I've made contacts with communications. Lee wasn't available at the time. I think, having a conversation with you, Chair, Lee might not be too well. Lee Morris is the local neighbourhood inspector for this area, and he may not be at work. He certainly wasn't at work when I put the message through, but I know the speed camera van, as recommended by me, has been working around the area. It's certainly been down at Woodston at the community centre, so it's been around this area. Just need to get it on the front street at Lumley, if there's a place where they can park it up. So I'll persevere with that one, Chair. And with regards to that and the other agenda items with regards to the festival as well, we'll do that also.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that. There had also been a community speed watch in Back Lane, Phil. Do you remember what the details of that was?
There was, I think it was 3 people over 35, which is one below the criteria for further action. All the people that went past them were either under 30 or between 30 and 33. It was quite a low speed. They're still happy with them not to take any further action.
Right, okay then.
I think there are 200 comments saying you should come at this time or that time on that street. But I think you understand it's volunteer service. you need speed watch.
And there's always certain areas, certain roads that they'll do as well.
Yeah.
I know coming into back lane, Eileen and Stuart, that's an area what they, you know, they can't or won't do. Coming into scorers lane, sorry,
You can't register a speeding offence within so many metres of a sign. You've got to give a distance from the sign to get a good reading, and that's why.
Okay then, the other part of that was the speeding monitor, which we discussed on the last meeting, the flashing monitor, which we get in the village. We're going to look at, has anybody looked at the price on that? So we do a little bit of research on that in relation to.
I've been looking at it, and also I spoke to the councillor in County Hall, and they've been looking at them, and at the moment all you can get is a fixed speed camera, speed visor, flashes up the speed. I think you can also get a happy face, sad face to go with it. They're around about £10,000. They stay fixed, and that £10,000 covers you for 8 years maintenance. We have the resources for us to buy one that we can move to various places on the village, or even the division, so we couldn't even share one. We haven't got the resources to keep moving, so that's about the only option we had, really.
Well, I've just come back from my dad's village in Hampshire, and they got a chicane on one of the main roads. But traffic going one way has to slow down, moving around, give way, coming the other way. And that's on the bus route, so you might consider that.
The chicanes, I know down in Seam, Jeremy, they're not. What happens on the chicanes, like sometimes like you get vehicles like racing to get around it before the other ones get to it, and there's been instances where cars have overturned. Tim?
Yeah, I mean the classic ones down with the avenue near Sainsbury's at Chelsea Street, that one there where people are racing through the avenue just to get to the other one. You're quite right what you say. They can be a double-edged sword.
I know what a lot of villages are doing now. Rather than the speed bumps, you get the units which screw onto the floor. Whatever they're made of, like the sort of a resin.
The rubber.
And obviously, because the speed bumps are like quite a fortune they are put in place by the highways. That might be seen as an alternative in a bolt onto the floor. There's these rubber buttons.
Well, were they looking at removing speed bumps because of like pollution, etc.? Carbon footprint and stuff like that.
Putting complaints in, putting claims in for damage to the car.
Just finishing bushes.
Then seeing what we was doing on about one of the galleries, and the taxi men were offered, and the road were that big, you want to work, where that high, it's not a fucking gallery.
You understand, years ago, I was involved in the ones on the Leach estate, and you had as many people against them as many people for them. I guess then the thing about the Leach ones was like the kids were coming out between the hedges on the like fast moving vehicles, so it's quite a need for them there. Okay then, next item on there, next bullet point is new reviews, which I touched on, and we need to chase that up. Football field, receive an update on bookings, maintenance and payments, process, and I think Gary Brown and Joanna using sport with.
So we
County
met,
Council.
we met County Council last week. They've confirmed that they will not be continuing to put the football field without an SLA. Yeah. So we hopefully still getting them to do a little bit of work over the next couple of weeks, but ultimately what we said is come sort of September, they would expect to see an SLA in place. So we've chatted about the costs that we receive from an income point of view from the football field, and obviously the cost of how much the cost of what it may cost to do the 2 football fields, and there probably will be a shortfall of several £1,000s. So what I've said is I'm going to prepare a spec as to what we would expect to see on there, send it through, it'll give us a cost, and then we're going to bring something back to the September meeting. But we only receive income of £2,500 a year.
So up to now, though, has the parish been had to do a service level agreement up to now? Previously,
No, well, what they said is everything that they've done, and they're happy doing this across the whole of County Durham. It's all been, it's sort of like the legacies that has just continued from the district councils and, you know, being an informal arrangement and this, that and the other, and they just tighten up on everything.
up to now, though, the parish council haven't paid the
County council, anything.
county council for any cutting grasses,
No,
and now they're looking at a bill of £67,000.
potentially, yeah. So I described it as similar to what the issue we had with the bowling green a few years ago, in that obviously the bowling green used to pay DCC, it would cost them thousands, but obviously they subsidised it, so it's for me it's going to be a similar thing there. And obviously you know, we like that at the moment, and what sort of things we need to get some sort of like even balance and things like obviously the white lines have got to be painted on every time there's a match and stuff like that. Every time there's a match, you've got to go out and repair any damage to the field, for example, holes. If somebody could fall down, you know, so it's not as straightforward as just.
But the money which previously the users of the football pitches paid a fee to Durham County Council,
Yes.
which covered for pitch maintenance, as in the lines and.
It contributed to it, but it's going to be the same. So the football team pays £400 a year.
Each football team.
Yeah.
For the pitch.
So it works out at 2,500 people getting calls, but potentially we might have to spend.
So the county council are no longer going to take the football's money.
No, they haven't been taking the footballers' money for last year. I understand, that's why I wanted to make it clear.
So potentially it's going to be a shortfall of £5,000.
So previously, county council did everything, whereas now I get all the benefits. So again, it's just sort of setting up that booking system and doing this and doing that.
What's the football club? What's the football club? Was in Danny, what's his thought on the football club? What's their views on it?
Well, I've only spoke to Gary, and I haven't spoke to the other football club that uses the players yet. Because what I've said is until he says to me it will cost X amount, then I'm not in a position to start negotiating and saying, well, actually, we can't have it. The white lines painted every session. How about we quote it? You know, so at the minute I've sort of said I'm going to pull together this spec, get that costed up, and that's when we're going to have to say, well, actually, only cut it every, you know, 10 days as opposed to every 5 days. Don't do this, do that, do the other. It's going to be a bit of a negotiation thing.
Or even to look at outside contractors.
That'll be cheaper.
We said that as well, but even getting an outside contractor, we're still going to have a spec for them to work to.
So obviously, it's not just the football pitches they cut; it's the whole of the, the whole of the field.
But obviously, the rest.
So it was a crossover as well, because the Millennium, obviously, the Millennium Green is sort of the field split into two. We've got the Millennium Green and we've got the parish field.
No,
I think at the moment,
I raised this because what I'd said was, what's going to happen with the Millennium Green? And they said, well, at the moment, we put that for free. And I said, well, if you continue to put it for free, I'll be complaining, because why should the parish council pay and then someone else shouldn't? So that, again, could become an issue.
yeah, because obviously the Millennium Green don't have any income.
I know that's another issue, but we obviously own it. But from a business point of view, it's not fair for us to have to pay, and then for the other half of the field not to have to pay for it.
Is it possible, because we were going to arrange a meeting with the trustees?
I emailed them ages ago. Jeremy gave us the.
Jeremy, would you be able to push that? Because I think there's a, when are they going to stop cutting the county?
We agreed that we would do a couple of cuts in this next couple of weeks because there's some football matches. There was a match on the 1st. There's a match tonight, which is why Gary's not here. There's about 3 or 4 matches over the next couple of weeks. So what he said was, he'll see what he can do. But really, I've said I'll present something to a September meeting. Yeah.
Gary, would you be able to do that as a matter of urgency with the trustees? Because there's a situation going to arise where if the fields are cut, they then become a liability for people tripping.
Beginning of September.
Yeah, Graham Cook, yeah, he's now got Martin Bristol's job,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where's football's only been more or something again last year? Nobody? There'll be three.
No, well, I need to understand all
That
that.
should have been told to us in relation.
No, because we haven't been paying.
Nobody did it.
Well, what
I'm being charged with this.
I've said to Gary is, because Gary sent us a message the other day saying send an invoice out. And I said, well, I'd rather understand what it all involves than just suddenly sending out an invoice for £400. Because if we say we're going to charge someone £400, but it's going to cost us X amount, that's why I said I need to present. I need to understand the full picture and I need to present it back to the council so that you've got a full picture to say, well, actually, this is what they cost. I mean, I'd said to Gary about, well, can the footballers pay more? But obviously, it's whether.
This is what's got the bowling green.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, went from 675 okay, we want to pay off 4,000.
Yeah.
Everything's like.
That's it. And then we've talked about.
My member bowling being only worked it out, it was only going to cost like the members that I had to get a few more, it would be like 5 a week. When the broke all down, because John Parton broke all down, it was only going to work out about 5 a week.
So it's thousands. When you had 28 members, it was 67,000.
Over the whole year. They still paying it the whole year, 5 a week, and they got an extra 10 members.
Well, what
John had it all sorted out, it wasn't going to be that much to you.
I've said to Gary is I need to understand who the football teams are. So, for example, if they're grassroots, they're just a small football club, as opposed to a football club that earns loads of money.
Yeah.
It's looking at all of that. It's just that's why I wanted to just give you the heads up today.
And then also, it's not only obviously the football pitches, but the parish own other land, as in Quarry Pond. What does this mean? Like, are they just talking about the playing fields? As in the old football field, the parish field behind here, but then we're all obviously the parish council own Quarry Pond at top of Broadviews.
Right.
We never get built that one.
Well, what they said.
But this is
Can't count the cuts.
this is what they're talking now. We never got built for any of them. They're now talking about building.
What Graham said was they Durham County Council will continue to put what they own.
What they own.
What they own and what either so like whether it's the house builder, they'll have that, or whatever we'll be responsible for DCC, so the grass verges, that type of thing. But then if you're talking the likes of
We don't have any other than we don't have anything other than Quarry Pond.
That's about it, I think, isn't it?
We don't have verges, I think.
No,
And the two big ones.
Okay, well, I didn't.
Sorry, Michelle, was there something contributing there?
Yeah, it was just, as a taxpayer in the community, I just want you to understand that the football club's not great, not Lumley SA anymore, it's Chester Street Football Club.
It is just a street.
So as much as I want to play on the field, and as much as I know, there's a lot of people from the village whose kids play.
That's right.
There's nothing on that football team now that says it's done great money.
We've changed the name, but as you rightly said, a lot of the kids out of Lumley do play for that.
Yeah, and I
That's
get
a
that.
side point in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, potentially we are faced with quite a serious.
I'm sure they'll tell you what we've got to pay for. I come to them to give you more than that.
So another thing is, because it comes in September, it's like our preset is set in January, and we don't receive those, so we haven't like put that in the preset. Although we obviously got reserves, but we haven't preset for that charge.
Yeah,
We're going to bring that straight
I
in.
need to look at
So it's a bit naughty by the county council trying to push that upon.
well, what I'll do is I'm going to prepare this spec anyhow. So I'll just copy everybody in so you can see the correspondence between me and Gary.
We need the ideas matter of emergency, need to speak to the Millennium Green, Jeremy.
No, I know for that.
Otherwise, because I think obviously the situation for the Millennium Green is they don't have any income.
And if that's not maintained, then
It's not maintained, is it, does it come back to the parish?
Well, I'm not paying all my flying boat, cut the Millennium Green, so.
You can continue to come on the football pitch. Get your ride on. Okay.
I'll make everyone aware, but it's just a flag up really at this stage.
No, I suppose that was in.
He's left now.
Yeah, I don't know where we take those.
The next one on the 6.5 is small grants application. Keep Great Lorry tidy, receive details on grant application and monitoring process. Bill and Fiona.
Often forming from, you want to brief them in, right? And it's going off for processing what our budgets to finance a number of
How many kids was it, Phil?
Pardon?
How many kids?
Was it 8 sets for up for kids, 10 for adults,
Yeah.
10.
and a lot of groups as well.
Right, yeah.
And the cost is, for the grant, we'll get, it's £367.22, and the total cost is £440.66. The difference is the VAT. So we'll pay the VAT, and then we'll obviously pay the VAT.
Just for information, so that the funding for that was coming out of the county councils, it's called neighbourhood budget, which myself and Phil sort of carry as elected members. It's buying of 18 kits in total, it's going to be done through the parish council. The parish will not pay for it, and these are employees for people and residents in the village for litter picking. And just on that, I don't think we've got it on there. There was a litter picking day a few weeks ago, which a number of the parish councils attended. It went really, really well. It's effectively the Carbon Homes and County Council, we both provided staff and equipment to do the litter pick, but yeah, it went really, really well. Okay. Next one on there is the AAP funding, positive projects for young people. Receive details on the grant application and monitoring process. Mona?
Yeah, so this was, we started, I think it started in May, this project. We were awarded £5,000, but it's just to flag it up really that we have to do quarterly monitoring on this. So we've also got targets that we need to meet, and there'll be key milestones in the quarterly report. So I need to be in contact with youth workers and just work out the best way to do it.
Any questions on that? Next item on there is the fish and chip ban. See details of the proposal, which is Councillor Gary Brown. At the last meeting, Gary mentioned there'd been a local businesses wanting to start a fish and chip ban in the community centre car park, but this Gary's not here. Has he provided anything?
No, we haven't, so we'll just next time.
We don't have a place for it.
What's that, Jeremy?
We still don't have a place for it.
Okay. Next item is the councillor surgeries. You see details on the process for running councillor surgeries, and this is councillor Anne. Oh yeah, better that. So it's good there, and the one before that was Young People's Forum. Receive details on the process to establish Young People's Forum, which again is Anne. So Anne, the next two items, so Young People's Forum, also council surgeries.
So with Young People's Forum, I'm trying to make contact with Durham Area Youth Service Project, whatever it is, to get some ideas from them in terms of processes. And the other thing I'd like to do is try and set up a meeting for young people. Now, I am aware that not all of them will be on things like Facebook, and we'll be looking at the parish council website or anything like that. So my initial idea would be to put things out on Facebook, but also maybe to get a flyer, a poster put up. I know that a lot of young people still come up and around the parish centre. I was talking to a few of them yesterday, actually. So they would probably see that, and then also maybe put them in shops as well, and set up a meeting here in the parish centre and invite young people in to gain their thoughts as well. If anybody has any ideas from the floor, I'd welcome any suggestions as well. If you have young ones at home, how best to try and engage them in attending a meeting and having their voice heard.
Can I ask, so what
is the overall aim for engaging them to do what? To have their say on.
All right, well, this is to actually set up the forum.
Right.
So it would be to bring them in, to give them some ideas of what it would look like, what would the commitment be, and then establish it in terms of numbers, attendance, what happens when we meet, where does the minutes feed into, all that kind of thing, yeah.
Right.
And then surgeries, we've had a little chat about surgeries with other councils that are doing it or not doing it as to the best way forward. So what I'm proposing initially, and again, I really welcome any comments from the floor on this, is for the moment, because we've got a consultation coming up soon as well for the parish centre, is to have a face-to-face surgery before the parish meeting. So if people are coming along for the parish meeting, we would have an opportunity maybe to talk about things beforehand. So there'll be somebody here before the parish meeting, and also have surgeries by Zoom for people that couldn't attend or don't want to attend for whatever reason. And we could have the Zoom meetings fortnightly, and obviously the face-to-face before the parish meeting. So that would give an opportunity of 3 times in a month to have surgeries of some description. We had thought of maybe trying them weekly in person, but the consensus seems to be that that might not be well attended. So what we could do is try once a month, and then the Zoom, and then if there's a demand, then obviously we could look at revising how often we run them.
Anybody any views on that?
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about, there would have been a surgery for this meeting, you say, if it is up and running.
I'm really struggling to
Yeah, he said there would be a surgery prior to this meeting.
Yes, yes.
This is just that that's the interval between when I finish work, come to this meeting, when I'm reading all the papers again, make sure I'm up to speed and everything before I come to this meeting, you see, because what I did today.
But it wouldn't be all parish councillors attending the surgery.
It's not all parish councillors. We do it on a rota basis.
Yeah.
The same would be for Zoom. It would be for any parish councillors that could attend, but there would be at least one parish councillor there. There might be more, and it would be done on a rota basis.
I think you'll find just before the parish council meeting, most of us are going for the papers, are we not?
No, because we're getting them a week before now, so that we've got plenty of time to go through all of our papers.
I do that, but I need to refresh my memory just before the meeting, make sure I'm up to speed and everything, make sure I haven't forgotten anything. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I guess the prior to the meetings is probably a good chance to engage with the public, and then in relation to the item on the agenda, what is the we don't have a police report, or rarely have police report these days. Then we could have a new item on the agenda, neighbourhood issues. You know, so from a surgery prior to a meeting, item on there, and then if there's anything sort of comes up in the surgery, bring it into that night's meeting, and then it sort of can be dealt with, which will be looked at quite immediately.
Just be mindful that you wouldn't
Make decisions, yeah.
Well, no, that would be, because we could literally have that discussion and then you can task things with actually, let's bring that together. So how long do you think? So like our meeting starts at 6:30, so do you think an hour?
I would think an hour, because in reality, all the meeting starts at 6:30. There's often other activity, setting up the rooms and everything. So yes, maybe 5:30.
Okay.
Well, you do that item that if you've got neighbourhood issues on the agenda.
And then what we'll say, start the surgery?
5:30. And how many people are?
Minimum one.
A couple each
Yeah,
time.
could be each time we close. I think it would be quite useful to have, a representation from the parish council. But I do appreciate that people have jobs and commitments that might prevent them from being there. But I would aim to be doing it on a rolling basis anyway. So the commitments shouldn't be too onerous.
Well, there's 12 councillors, so that's going to be, like 2 surgeries a year each.
Yeah.
We'll do 2 people each surgery.
If somebody's struggling, if we just commit to one, that would be absolutely fine. And the Zoom one, and again, I would take advice from the floor on this as to the best times. Obviously, we have our parish council meetings in the week, and not everybody can attend or I'll take even by Zoom because they're busy doing other things. So we could vary the Zoom, so one could be on a weekend, for example, because if it's Zoom, you can do it anywhere, at any time, more or less. Just to try and capture as many people as
What's
possible.
on the parish council social media page is like sort of every 3 or 4 weeks there's open Zoom, an open meeting where all or any councillors can take part, and then any members of the public can tap in. It's just got an open forum, and then that will also help to inform the agenda.
In terms of taking responsibility for it, there would be at least one councillor who would be absolutely definitely there.
Yeah.
But then other councillors could attend as they were available.
Any thoughts on social media? Zoom?
I think that's a good idea, because you can put it out there, you can advertise, you could say, next Wednesday or whatever it'll be, it's going to be almost like a bit of a live session, maybe, isn't it?
I have it like a week before the agenda is set. So then if it needs to inform the agenda, maybe it's like a week before the agenda is set, so 2 weeks before the parish council meeting, we bang in the middle of the next meeting, and it gets fed into that social media meeting, and then go on the agenda.
Because a month can be a long time if you just
It is, absolutely, yeah. Any thoughts on the floor?
It's just a good idea, everybody. Bringing the phone, that needs to think about. It's a good idea.
Again, I think we've got to remember that everybody's on Facebook and try and
That's
get
the surgeries,
Yeah.
you know, the
Yeah.
face to
You know what
face.
I'm saying, just get the information when they are.
Yeah.
Because not everybody's on Facebook, so I think that's all you will ever say.
And I was thinking of keeping it with Zoom, because that seems to be what people are used to, because we've used it for previous meetings, even though I'm a Teams person myself. But I think in terms of getting access to Teams, you have to set up an account, and not everybody would be able to do that. Exactly.
Generally,
Yeah.
people that would use it.
So you can invite all the meeting, you can actually invite people, in this time just need your email address to send a link to.
Whereas Zoom.
But Teams is more fluent, isn't it?
Exactly.
And we can use, if you got one, we can use the Zoom account for
Yeah,
the
I
parish
can
council
set-
social
Yeah,
media.
what I can do is I can set it up, I mean, I'm probably near will do it, but I can set up the meeting and we can, for example, make you a host. Or we can have a chat about it later and just, have the best way to do it. Just to put it in context as well, so Friday the 27th of August is the final date for the agenda for September. So that gives you, a couple of weeks really, if you want to set something up on Zoom.
I could mention that sometimes Zoom can be temperamental. Sometimes you have technical problems, and so when, say, a parish councillor is expected to be in a Zoom meeting and can't log in because of technical problems, as I say, Zoom can be temperamental sometimes.
Oh, I team on that. Neil? Yeah.
Be able to get something set up.
I think any of those things are temperamental. You see me in the middle of a Teams meeting when it all goes to pot, it's not pleasant.
That's a brilliant idea, I really do. If you can't really engage with the public.
And then we'll see, as of September, we'll do, we just pilot it, do it September,
Yeah.
see how it goes and see what works and what doesn't work. Yeah, that's fine.
And bear in mind, we also have consultation surgeries and everything coming up. So I think people might get used to coming to surgeries and to talk to us, and hopefully we'll be able to carry that on into the future.
Yeah.
We've got, next item is all the advisory from the community. The next item is item number 7 is council policies. And we see details on the policies to be adopted and updated over the forthcoming months. Fiona?
This is going to have to be, this is going to have to follow. So the first thing that I'll be bringing to the September meeting is the code of conduct. The Durham County Council recommends that we follow the new one that's been adopted. I'll get this out to you in the next couple of days, but it's literally just a list of everything when they were sort of when they were originally updated and when I recommend that they update it again. Ultimately, I'm recommending that we review everything over the next few months.
Anybody on that? No. Next item on there is item number 8, community centre, to discuss progress with asset transfer and undertake the following. Point 1 is community consultation, receive a report on the proposed community consultation and make a decision on the proposed routes and agree a budget. This comes under Neil.
So if you recall back to the last meeting, we said we put together a plan about how to conduct a community consultation around the future of the community centre. That's something that was talked about in the run-up to the last election, and certainly there was a lot of people who were interested in having a bit more of a direct say on that. So we have put together a report, and there's been a small working group that's input onto this, and the report has been passed around to all the councillors for comment. I don't believe we had anything further back, if you want to, since the last one. So what we are proposing to do would be to run the consultation towards September, so that would be from the 1st to the 24th of September. In order to draw attention towards that, we're also looking to circulate a physical leaflet around the village around about the 16th of August, so that give people a couple of weeks' notice. That would include information on the ways that we're going to actually gather feedback as part of the consultation. So part of that will be some form of online survey. We would also have paper copies for people who are not able to attend online. And we're also looking at doing telephone interviews or doorstep visits as well for people who would request that. As part of what we've organised so far, we've asked for availability from all councillors as to what they'd be willing to and capable of supporting within that, so we can actually give a scheduled time scale. With regards to the questions that we'll be asking, they're still up for some discussion. There's going to be an early copy of those questions that's sent out by Fiona to councillors. I think what we're saying over the next couple of days, I think, for where we are.
Yeah, if you're happy with what we come up with, yeah.
So I think from the first draft, I think we're pretty happy with what needs to be in there, but we'll welcome any feedback from councillors before we take that further forward. And as I said, we would need those finalised prior to actually going out for consultation, which would be around September. In terms of costs of what we're asking for approval for tonight, would be an anticipated budget of £500 as a maximum. That's to facilitate printing of leaflets in order to get those out through the doors, and also printing any paper copies that are needed and any other ancillary costs that might come up around that. I don't anticipate that it will go too close to the £500 based on the cost of leaflets. We want to make sure there was option there should we need to do anything over the next month. We're also proposing that the decision regarding which questions we're asking is left to the working group, which has been formed of council as well, so that we can agree that ready to go ahead in September. That will be outside of Parish Council. Is there anything else that we need to add on that, Fiona?
No, that's everything. Actually, sorry, I'm just going to add one thing. So we originally, when we said home visits, we changed that to doorstep visits. It's ultimately to try and make sure we can reach as many hard to reach people as possible. So it might be that somebody wants to fill a questionnaire, but maybe you can't necessarily get out about it, we don't use the internet, so that's why we said we could drop them off and pick them up, or stand someone's doorstep. I don't know how many there will be, but it's just really to try and make sure it was open to as many people as possible. That was the reason behind that.
Any questions on that?
I'd be keen if there's any ones from the public as well on that one.
I just want to make sure you know what the leaflets are going to say.
The leaflets will be stating what the dates are of the surgeries, and that the questions will be coming up, encouraging people to actually partake in it. I know that we have done in the past previous consultation. I believe the number of responses that we got was somewhere around 70, 74, 75. It's to try and encourage that, which is why I want to put the gap in the middle. In terms of what's going to go on the leaflets, again, that will be really by the work group to put that out there, but it's mostly going to be all information. We're going to be in this consultation. Please make sure you take part either online, offline, house visit, surgery, however you want.
Okay, Neil, thank you very much for your work, Lorna. Appreciate those. This one is license to occupy.
Okay with that?
Sorry, yeah, is everybody okay on that? Yeah, are you fully agree, support?
Yeah, great.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. License to occupy, receiving options report on alternative arrangements for a license to occupy and make a decision on the most appropriate route. As in, just for members of the public, for information, at present, the parish council pay £800–900 a month in rates, and have done for the last year and a half. And it's something we've inherited at cost. So we're looking into other alternatives to get around that burden of £900 a month. Phil, I think you're going to lead on this one.
Yeah, there was a number of ideas about different ways to do this. Initially, we had a CIO charity, but it turned out that the trustees really weren't up for working with the parish council. So we've disentangled ourselves from that, and so we need to look at a new way forward. Basically, your CIO had considerable amount of time to be active and doing absolutely nothing, and we're still paying the bills since a year ago in January. To start with, I thought we could look at CIC, Community Interest Company, CIO, a not-for-profit, or piggyback with an existing CIO. The not-for-profit in the existing CIO has caused a few problems. Existing CIOs is that we give a license to occupy to a different organisation who we don't necessarily know if we can work well with. So it's a dangerous situation to have ourselves in there. Not-for-profit has an added problem of liability. If you form a charity or a community interest company, you can limit the liability if something goes wrong to the directors or trustees to be a maximum of £1, which makes it a lot easier to recruit trustees or directors when they're only not going to lose the house over somebody else's staff mistakes. So on the basis of that, we then look at CIC or CIO. CIC can be set up relatively quickly. You can get it sorted in a couple of weeks. And if you have all your documents in place, you can probably do it in 2 or 3 days. CIO at the moment is taking up to 6 months, where it's taken 12, 14 weeks to even reply to your application, because they've got such a backlog from last year. But we'll start with CIC in the meantime, while we then look at trustees for the new CIO in 6 months' time. One of the problems you have when you set up is you have to nominate another charity or another CIC who have similar outlooks and aims as yours. For us, it will be community engagement and health and stop loneliness and the likes by having groups and things going on in here. What you have to do is nominate another local charity who would receive all of your assets in the event that you went bust. Scratching my head, ideally, I would have liked to have gone straight back to the parish council. but you can't do that, it has to be CIO, and it's called asset lock. But I had a brainwave this afternoon, and I've spoken to the Lumley Parish Methodist Church and Tom Snurlin, and the Methodist Church as a whole is a charity. And he's going to speak to church elders, etc. You know, the main area officers for the church, just to make sure it's all right for us to do that. It's basically the same as somebody leaving money in a will. So if the CIC cease to exist, any assets therefore go straight to them as a donation, as a charitable organisation, with the same aims as us, basically. What we need to look for now is 3 directors for a CIC. I say 3, that's kind of a minimum, because you need 2 to hold them in. So you need at least 3 really to make sure that you get 2 at any one time. The previous worry about having a CIC was that the directors would suddenly start paying themselves wages. But I've been working this last week on the what's the term for it? Articles of Association. And in that document, it's just like a charity governance document where you can set out what you can and can't do. So I've set out that any directors for the CIC who work for free wouldn't be able to pay themselves wages. All they'd be able to do is pay reasonable expenses that they're all pay on. So if you need to go and buy a ream of paper, then that's a reasonable expense you get repaid for. That sort of thing. I've also found out from speaking to people, 2 years ago, we were looking at the options, and we were saying, you're better off having a CIO because there's more funding available. I've spoken to a number of people who run CICs now, and they said they've never ever been stopped from applying for funding because they aren't CIO. Well, I think times are changing where people realise that CIC, even though it's run on the basis of a business, it's not for profit, and it's the same as running a charity, just under a different constitution basically. So for the moment, I think we're probably better off pressing on to start CIC as soon as we can get the directors in place, and then look at in the long term, ready for coming out of refit or refurb or rebuild, if you need to start and sort out a CIO to hand over to at that point. We can use this as a tester to find out how much funding is available as a CIC. And that's where we are.
So are you suggesting we agree the articles tonight?
You can agree tonight, or you can agree afterwards. It's
just the one, I'd like to have a little bit more. I think the principle of the CIO, I think we should, we can agree that. You can agree directors tonight, but I just think.
Well, it's nice to volunteers first. There's no rush to agree if there's one good director.
Okay. And do the directors all come from the parish council or
they come from anywhere?
So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, at the moment, I was going to be a director or volunteer to be a director, but the problem we may have then is conflict of interest. If Alan and I want to give the budget money to the CIC, then we'll have to declare a conflict of interest. If I was director trying to give my CIC money, there would be a conflict, which would cause a problem. I'm sure we could overcome it if I had to, but it was just one less thing to get over every time we want to give it money for a project.
Anybody have any appetite to be a director? Should we just sort of
we start advertising from the word.
put that out there and have a thought on it?
I think we've done most of it now, so there's not a lot to do.
So the old one just be scrapped now.
It's not nothing to do with us, Peter. We can't. What's the old one?
It's entirely up to the court trustees that are currently on there.
Have you had any feedback on this?
No,
So
not
we've got to
really.
wait for the-
No, it's just.
Well, we don't need to do
it's nothing
anything.
to do with us, Peter.
So if they want to do something with that, they absolutely can, but obviously they won't have any money from the parish council. But yeah, they could just either just leave it and it'll eventually just fold, or
I mean, a yearly accounts will be due now, is it a year old?
Yeah, 10 months after the first form, and the application was made, so it's 10 months after May. So they're due any time now until 10 months after May, 16 years it was.
The only thing I was going to say with regards to putting it out there and advertising for potential directors, I think it would be useful to have some sort of skill set requirements, that type of thing. And I think everybody can offer everything, but just so that people understand what they're getting involved in and what they can bring to it.
Yeah, as opposed to when you're
Yeah, just, I think that would be useful.
what's my ideas? People to ask.
Okay, fair.
Thank you for that, Phil. Appreciate it on that. Exciting one there is the gym proposal, received an update on current position. Just to inform anybody, members of the public not known. So in the short term, whilst we wait to see which way we're going to go with the community centre, there's been quite a lot of interest in people, members of the public want to use the gym. So we had looked out, put it out there to see if there's any individuals or businesses want to run the gym in the short term so that we can get it open. And so Carol and Heidi would kindly ask themselves to looking into that and what we use.
Well, we had two proposals which people asked Parish Council to discuss. And Fiona and I worked on asking them just for a bit more information. So I emailed that over on Friday. So I emailed to both interested parties on Friday. I'll give them a deadline of later in the month of August, so it'll go the next week, so 24th Fiona. 20th of August to have the proposals back, so they can be considered at the next
subgroup
Parish
council meeting.
Yeah, because it needs to come back before the Parish Council.
Ah, right, so
We'll have to
yeah,
bring it
so there'll be a
up.
special meeting.
Yeah,
We'll just do it as part of the September meeting, but the part day at the end,
Ah,
where we ask members of the public to leave.
we'll come into the September meeting.
yeah.
And what we've proposed is that if obviously if they're interested, that type of thing, it will commence from the 1st of October.
Okay.
So yeah, we're comfortable with the time scales, and then as I say, we'll bring it back, and that'll just be our big part of the agenda.
Okay, thank you, Carol, thank you, Eileen, for your work with Paul there. Next item on there is the community centre room booking policy and procedures. See the room booking policy and procedures, that's also Eileen and Carol.
Thank you. You'll all have the copy of what I've proposed to use for the booking form, and also the new terms and conditions that I've written for the centre, and also a rough timetable of the groups that have shown interest in starting back. I don't know if anyone's got any comments on any of that paperwork.
I just wondered, was there any intention of this being available online?
That is a totally rough first draft. It's not finished at all. It's just for comment.
Right, yes, it's just that I noticed that you've asked people to draw their room layout, obviously you can do
No,
that.
whoever took the booking would draw that.
I see.
So where they want the tables, where they want the chairs, where they want the any. That's to be a picture for whoever's setting a room up.
I've got a few comments, but I can email them through to you.
Whatever.
Yeah, I just think it needs a little bit more about some of the rooms that we're hiring out, this, that, and the other, how you actually book it. At the minute, obviously there was a telephone in there, but it's not like the place is manned and stuff like that. Actually, how people book it, and then when they send
That would be contacting Carol and myself.
Well, if that's the case, that needs to be on here. So for me, I just had some comments about.
Well, not really, because this is filled in once they contact you.
The group in terms and conditions.
Yeah, they get that with, when they do the booking.
Right, okay. But the minute, because what I thought you were doing was you were pulling together a sort of just the general community centre policy on how it would all work. So how will someone know how to book the room?
All they need to know is to contact Carol and myself.
Okay, and what will that be available on Facebook or?
We can put it on the website, put it on Facebook.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. I've got some comments. I think there could be some areas that could be improved, but that's fine. That's
Just
obviously
email
fine.
them across.
And then I just also on the groups here as well, I just noticed you hadn't put the parish council down. So obviously I know we only hear once a month.
Yeah, these are the people that have queried using for, I mean, we're already here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was just things I think it's probably worthwhile. Maybe we can pick them up in a working group, but it's just things around how people pay and if you have to pay deposits and things like that. It's just how all that's going to actually work in practice.
I think that was the next step. It was in terms of getting the paperwork together. Yeah. More than anything. And then
I mean, I can see that the new normal bookings ongoing will pay monthly in arrears. At the end of each month, they'll get invoiced. But anyone doing a one-off will complete this paperwork, take a deposit, and then they have to pay within, I think it's on there somewhere, pay the full balance within 7 days prior to the event.
Right. Okay, that's fine. As I say, I can fade through in the comments. You know. Yeah. And then just in terms of the actual room charges yet.
I'll send them.
I've got it here.
Yeah, but it's purely a first draft. And it was very much, that's what we're working on, but we haven't finalised it yet. So there's more work needed on that.
I've got quite a few queries on that, how they were calculated. And we don't know how much it costs to run the centre and stuff like that.
We'll take it off the accounts, 2019.
Well, that'll have involved probably 15 members of staff or something like that.
Yeah, but we've used it as a baseline to give us some ideas.
Oh yeah, and I can appreciate there's an evidence base that sits behind this. I just think it probably, I just, looking at this, you're saying the permanent room would be what, £4.90?
No, we're not saying that. What, that is the running cost for that unit. It says on the piece of paper.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That is the actual running cost. And I've added that we need to look at that because we need to put some more money onto it to start putting money into a pot so that we have some money behind us. So that is totally just the running costs for the room.
That's the our backs.
Yeah, I completely agree with the way you've done it. I just think to use figures from 2019 when it had loads and loads of stuff in it. But for me, I'd be looking at the cost. It's similar to the way we've done it for the gym on the actual, what does it actually cost? And then what do you need going forward? In terms of, you know, we've touched on whether you have a caretaker, a cleaner, this and that, the other. So the way you've done it makes absolute sense, but my concern would be to do it on a cost of £75,000 a year is just doesn't.
I think it needs to evidence the how, not the actual numbers. When Henry and I spoke about it, there's no figures for this. So we haven't got anything else to go on.
And we went on that and came up with a figure that, okay, isn't right at the minute, but it is somewhere near the ballpark figure where we need to be.
Just to give an indication of the process and how we would like it.
No, it's absolutely. One other thing, and then I will shut up, but my own little thing as well, obviously, because we worked on the gym proposal and that figure on there for the gym, it's just we've got to make sure we're consistent with everything that we do. We can't have one calculation for one thing and one calculation for another.
I think the dilemma is that we have to. We said that when we had that meeting in Henry and I said that too, that there's very little financials to go on.
So we've got the accounts that we had from last year, but obviously the centre wasn't.
But it wasn't covered, so it's you can't use it's not representative of the actual. So the last time was 2019, which was why we've used that just in Scotland. We haven't got anything else.
If I just see the calculation, it's based on a space take up 33%, and therefore we've got to have contingency plans in case we have a space take up of less than 33%.
Well, everyone, we should have a contingency pot for whatever reasons. I mean, not necessarily if your room hire drops. I mean, COVID's been a perfect example of why you need a contingency pot. I think we need one for any eventuality. And that's what the extra money would be there for, to start building up a pot.
Another point, I read here, it is the hirer's responsibility to ensure that fire procedures is displayed in the building. I thought it was both the hirer's responsibility and our responsibility as well.
It is our responsibility, but it's up to them to make sure that they know what the fire procedures are, that they're there to see, etc. So they know what they're doing.
It doesn't quite say that. It says the wording is the hirer's responsibility to ensure fire procedures is displayed in the building. I think the wording.
I'll check the wording.
Correct.
Just a first one.
That's something I wanted to bring up at the end of the meeting. Could I bring it up now?
Yeah.
So obviously, Karen and I met last week and we were just chatting about the centre opening up and this, that and the other and what needs to be in place. So for me personally, the centre cannot be open in September because that's literally just a few weeks away. So we were thinking more October.
Yeah.
So I've spoken to Ali from the AAP today, so I think I've circulated this a couple of weeks ago, but it's a funding opportunity available for various things, but one of them is for organisational sustainability. So well, you can apply, the minimum amount is 5,000, so I've had a chat with them today about it, and just sort of said where we are, how we want to get the centre back up and running, but certain things that we need to put in place, like we need to make sure we've got all the right policies and procedures. We need to employ somebody, whatever they're going to do. So it's just looking at all of them things. Now the deadline for this is the 13th of September, but I think it would be really useful to think about putting something in for this. The deadline for the 13th of September, you probably wouldn't get any funding until around about January or February. But what I'd sort of said was we could do a proposal of what the parish council would be prepared to fund for the next few months. With this, if we were successful, this could take over funding it in, say, February or whatever. So I just wanted to bring it to the table and just get people's thoughts on it. It's for the AAP. So it's a COVID restoration, and it literally covers employment, advice, guidance, organisation, sustainability, social isolation, support for people, you know. So to me, having this centre open, we could hit loads and loads of them things, physical activity, mental health and well-being. So I think it's a really good case to put forward where we pull together a funding application. We don't know what's going to happen with regards to the consultation, but you know, if we could get some money for the next year to support the centre while we're doing what everyone else is doing, I just think it would be useful to explore that. Yeah, that's what I was just going to say, if that's okay. Great.
Definitely, yeah, brilliant. Maybe sort of more in on the staffing side of it.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Because there's loads of areas where we're going to be going to ask the whole lot. But then we say, drill down into one specific area. Okay, thank you, Heidi and Carol, for your work involved in that. That's okay. Next item on there is the community centre business plan. We agreed the process to update the community centre business plan. And that's Carol, you leading on that?
Yeah, I think that just given the fact that we're going to go into consultation, we need to be mindful that we're going to hear back. We've got a business plan that we've obviously committed for the previous parish council. And I just wanted us to have a look at that document and see if it's fit for purpose. It's one of the things that we, federal council, have feedback from residents saying, is that business plan that covers for the next 25 years of the attention loan that we might have to repay in terms of the plans. One of the things I noticed on the business plan quite early on was that the income and expenditure that's been quoted and that the business plan has been modelled on they're actually really closely aligned. So it only takes one of those groups who we assuming are going to take up residence in the community centre to not take up residency or someone else. And then you're looking at the possibility where your income falls short of your expenditure. And I don't think we can be in that position again. We're also on that business plan, there's space at the front over here for a retail unit. There's no indication of who might rent that space. Now, given that we've got a former co-op building that's lying empty, and we've also had new retail units at the top of the village, I'm kind of questioning in my head the validity of that in terms of a viable option moving forward. I've had quite a lot of feedback from people, and I know other councillors have too, that the proposed gym area moving that way from the back is actually quite small. And there's also no space, or there'll be no plan in the business plan for showers. And I think if we're looking to attract the number of people that we would need to make it a viable business, it's something that people would be interested in. And as a gym user myself, I want to share that to you. Sometimes the time over. I think it's something that's been missed off the original business plan, because it was just not a consideration, to be honest. And I just think that one of the other concerns I've got is over the financial estimates that people have sent round. We had a chat about it last week when we had working group meeting. And for me, I think that we as the parish council would really be looking to have face-to-face with Lumsden Wood, I think, to go over some of those costings. Lumsden Wood, I think it was, that's written in the proposal. Yeah. Some of the costings are great. One of the questions on those, and I think we just
We did the QS, so
yeah,
they did the costumes back in March.
there's quite a lot of things in there, I think, that it would be wise at this stage. Because if we're going out to consultation, the public are coming back and saying, well, we would like this, we need to be in a position to say, well, actually, what we were going to have and what you're asking for, this is actually what it's going to cost. It's fine having it on paper, but I think until we have those conversations, we're not going to know. That I just think we really need to look at that business quite urgently, especially if we're going to look to form a new IC. It needs to be our business plan.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
100%.
I was going to say, I know we chatted about this, and obviously the timescales for the consultation as well. The findings from the consultation can start to inform a new business plan. And it makes sense to review it. And it's an ideal opportunity.
Yeah, somebody else looked at the business plan earlier on, the financial guy in the village, and he said exactly what you said, Carol. The group pulled out. I did ask the question at the time, did you say if somebody did what was the way it was rolled, would just be expected the parish council would sum up the shortfall? At the end of the day, if it's not in your precept each year, how can you plan for that?
Yeah, I think we've got to accept that yes, it's a community centre, but it actually needs to be a viable business. So it needs to have enough income and expenditure to balance that out, and it's highly incentive to be able to have income generation through, when we say if you're a centre manager or development manager, whatever you want to call it, we're always looking to generate more income, and that doesn't necessarily mean based around group use. It could be grants, it could be whatever. We need to think about it differently.
I think the business plan didn't also, it was the figures stacked up to sort of if all them sections hired 24/7, 365 a year, and it would pay its way. However, there was nothing over and above that. The bank, like sort of over, let's say your heat went off and you had the financial finances or whatever it might be going ahead, that the income didn't generate any surplus.
No contingency in it. They say time in terms of income. I think just especially when we're looking at room hire costs and that kind of thing, we just need to be mindful, as Cindy said, about making sure we build enough
Does everybody have a copy of the business plan?
I think those were all sort of emailed several months ago. Unfortunately, Windows 10 is delete my emails after 3 months. It might be best to send out a copy.
What was that, sorry,
Just
Joe?
send Jamie another copy.
I've got Windows 10 and I can't access any emails over 3 months old for some reason.
Okay, then. Oh, yeah, so where we going to pick the business plan up then?
And what can we do if that's really to look at, but we can never affect.
Next item on there is the accounts, item number 9, to indicate the following: receive details of accounts and agree expenditure, and also agree and sign the Lloyds Bank resolution form to close the 2 Lloyds Bank accounts. Your Honour?
9.1, the details of the accounts I have to follow. I haven't had time to do it this week. I've got this down here, because I'm the only signature that's still actually on this bank account. Everybody else that's on it is no longer parish councillors. So we need to have this in the middle tonight to see if we formally want to close the bank account. So I signed it, could you witness it? And I'll get that off and then.
Is that why you agree that we close this account?
Yes.
And apparently there's actually some money in it. So
Can't email you.
I presume it would be overdrawn if I'm honest, but they've said there's money in it, so I just need to fill in the details and then we'll get that transferred over and then that's it, the bank account's actually closed.
Are you going to leave from the new bank?
I sent it all off when after the last.
So it's a month ago, was it? I still haven't done anything.
Let me double check these emails. I mean, you say, said they got them. Or obviously, you know, the trouble I had at the beginning, took ages. I think they say, does it say, it's like 14, yeah, it says here they've been, thanks for requesting that, thanks for submitting the request changes. They were uploaded, and normally what would happen is you both get letters through the post. No, you wouldn't get an email, you would get an actual physical letter through the post. These details for you to then go on and create your own login accounts, yeah.
Yes.
No, I haven't had anything, as I say. Just simply to say we've accepted it. You're right, that was the 15th, wasn't it? 13th last meeting, so it's been, well, yeah. I mean, I can chase them up, but to be honest, I know from when I was trying to chase them up, they were just like, yeah, I'll have a look at it. But yeah, I'll chase it up.
Okay, then next item number 10 is personal subcommittee. Terms of reference, so you can make a decision on the updated terms of reference. That's up to you.
Yeah, those were circulated, people circulated them with the papers, and we obviously had our copy of our last meeting and the amendments were made that were suggested, and it's just to see where what's happening. Reach out to personal subcommittees.
Is everybody happy? Do you agree with doctors?
Yeah.
Agree? The next one is 10.2, so receive details of the certification in local council administration. Dana, Lorna?
Yes, so this was part of my interview question about whether I would be prepared to do this training. And CEDAW ran a session not last week, the week before, just in case it, just explaining what it all involves and things like that. So it was just to circulate the information, and then obviously once we've got this personnel subcommittee set up, then I can take it to them. But it was just to flag it up really. It costs £410 to do it. You have 1 year to do it. So the advice from CEDAW is like sort of 5 areas you've got to submit. What they say is don't register, because the day you register, your 12 months can't start from there. What they said was you're better off doing 3 of your portfolios, then registering, and then you stand a better chance of getting it in. There's also training with CEDAW, that's £100, but it is a bursary available. But it's a lot of hours. You know, it's a good sort of well, it varies. It can work out between 2.5 and 3.5 hours per week. So that is a
So
lot.
just for information, this was, this is the parish clerk qualification.
Yeah, so what happens when you have a qualified clerk, it means you can apply for the power of competency. So you can become sort of, you get that extra power, you can't have that if you don't have a qualified clerk. And then obviously years
What,
ago,
how does that benefit the parish?
I'd have to do your own report on all that, to be honest, 'cause I'm only just learning about myself. It's almost like we've only got certain powers to do certain things, whereas the power of competency, literally, you can almost put everything else under that power of competency. But as I say, it was something that would ask me a few questions, so I wanted to just understand what's involved in it and then obviously take it to the personnel.
I think it's for the parish councillors, what's the benefits to the parish council for that investment of £400 in, you know, with the.
Could you find out what that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I can find out what the power of competency is and stuff like that, but obviously this certificate, it's quite a detailed training. So you've got to literally know all about the different laws, so everything. So it runs through how you run meetings, how you do your finance, how you literally every single thing that the clerks need to know, but a lot more detail in terms of this is the legal things that sit behind it as well.
It's not mandatory.
No, it's not mandatory at all.
So I'm thinking that if you, ever how many years you've had as a parish clerk, and you, now it's not become.
No, it's not mandatory at all. But as I say, it was asked. So I just in the course it's
the formal parish should ask.
The session with CEDAW, it was free anyhow. I just wanted to go along to understand what it meant, which is why I sent through the stuff just to sort of say here, this is the information.
Who runs it? Is it CEDAW themselves?
No, it's I'd have to double check. I have to cite the council clerks to be perfectly honest.
So,
So is it that actually runs it?
yeah, well, Silk is the one which it's the awarding body. It's 200 hours and they pay with 5 different modules, 6 to 12 months. And national improvement strategy for parish and town councils, as well as a census awarding organisation. Quite an in-depth course.
Well, you just take that and that's.
Yeah, if they want that, maybe take, I'll just feed it to that personnel, subcommittee.
Next item number 11 is correspondence to receive details of correspondence received since last meeting. Fiona?
Right, so I've been emailing people stuff through as and when. I think that's the best way to do it, to be honest, and I've just sent some more stuff tonight, so there was CEDAW, general update information, some information from DCC around refresher driving sessions, more information from DCC around COVID grant. There was one I wanted to mention tonight, I just need to find it, sorry, because I've been going through the email. It's an opportunity to make a quick. Sorry, so there was an opportunity to make a quick police and crime commissioner, so it's just finding details around that, what happened and stuff like that. So again, I'm just going to keep sending out emails as you know every few days, if that's okay with people, rather than wait and bring them here every month, so nothing might get missed.
People's thoughts on process of receiving emails? Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
As in when?
Rather see if they're not available.
Yes.
I was reading about that police and crime commissioner. He's prioritising 5 different types of offences.
Sorry, what was that, Jeremy?
I was reading about, I think Joy Allen, her name, I'm reading about her. She's prioritising 5 different types of offences: antisocial behaviour, vandalism, splitting. I'm trying to remember the other 2.
Yeah, we'll probably be on this information, yeah, because she's talking about the crime plan. Well, I can send this through and you can have a look at it.
It's in the newspaper, I'll throw it out there.
Okay, then the next item is matters for information. There's no other correspondence, was there?
No.
Matters for information, to note any information that matters for discussion at the next meeting, which is in September. And 2 items already there. One, which is forward plan detail and standard agenda items throughout the year, Christmas tree.
There was something I had told people I was going to raise here tonight, but I also indicated to people not to get their hopes up. That's about the village pond.
Which one, Jeremy?
Pond at the slurry on the fields. A number of people complained about the smell.
We live in a rural area.
I know. I did say I have no expectations that anything could be done. But, I just said to people,
They've cut the grass for hay, for straw, whatever, so then they put it on to get it to grow again. It's just the cycle that the farmer does.
It's just a horse growth thing, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
so that's happened for as long as I know.
Yeah.
It is, there's lots of like there's lots of guessing going on, and actually I spoke to the guys who put it out there, and it is a food a waste of a food product. It's not human stuff or anything like that. And basically they'll put it on twice a year. Now, like it's the second time because they'll pull the crops off and then they get ready to turn it in. The other time is sort of at the beginning of the year. Obviously, like everything else, the cost of fertilizers has gone through the roof. And like as the farmer says, just reverting back to old practice where they put manures, etc., back into the land.
And more organic.
More organic and away from the chemicals, what they normally put in, but sadly that is the smell. It isn't very pleasant.
I didn't say, but I didn't believe that anything could be done about it or anything should be done about it. But I thought I'd better raise it anyway to get the answers. There's a lot of people keep getting a stink about the stink. Actually, we've had people from Nettlesworth and Chesterfield complaining as well.
But the tank soil, people mentioned down Old Mill Lane, there's a holding tank, which is held in there, so you can see tankers driving up and down at various times of the year or periods, I guess whenever it's raining, and they fill it into the tank down Half Mill, down Old Mill Lane, and then when the rain is sprayed, the tractors go along and they'll fill from there and go and put it on the fields. That's that. Anything else about the next meeting?
So neighbourhood issues from the surgeries, the gym proposal part B, and then I'll just.
And if you would like to,
Christmas.
Christmas fair,
Yeah,
I'm
we'll have that on the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got Christmas tree, so I'll just change it to Christmas tree and everything else.
No, one year when they did the Christmas tree, they did have stalls here as well, inside of the hall. I tell you what, Eileen says the Christmas fairs and that generally start like years before, wouldn't they?
There's that's what also we get.
Yeah, Okay then, thank you everybody for attending and also all the members of the public. Great to have you here.
Can I just ask one
Sorry, yeah.
Explain to me what's happened with the community centre the way it is now. I was at a meeting where this hall was packed,
Yeah.
voted to have a new build.
Yeah.
And then a year, 18 months down the line, get the refurb. What happened to the public consultation?
Yeah, so basically, that's right, I was actually at that meeting. And I also agree, that was my view, that it was sold to the public for a new build. Rightly or wrongly, that was being debated, discussed and argued upon that it wasn't going to be a new build. The old parish council somehow decided it was going to be refurb, And that's, of course, a lot of trouble in meetings or whatever, a lot of heated discussions, probably the best way to put it. Yeah, so now this is, it's coming back to the village now, where the people will have a say in it. Basically, that's what we did, we all said at the election, at the village is brought back to you, and you know, the village will have a say in that.
So it's just going to be any closed doors, didn't come back to the public, did it?
No.
That's what caused that, the video last year. And that was that video, because all of it asked, at what point did that decision being changed? Where was it minutes, and that's what caused all the backlash on the video and everything.
And to be honest, that was the you know, all I ever asked was like sort of, he said like it wasn't done correctly, and like I'm sure everybody has seen like firsthand, and now I've got a lot of sort of brief for that. All I said was things weren't done correctly, and like should went back to the people now. Yeah. It's just along about that basically. But it is coming back like definitely slow. But no, there haven't been any other meeting. Okay, thank you everybody.